All right. Excuse me. Let me try that again. Okay. All right. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Welcome to the Roundup. This is Blake Morrow, and you are listening in to the Daily Roundup. We are hours away from probably one of the most highly anticipated events of the last few years is the U.S. presidential election. And, for good reason. Obviously, we have the risk of the risk of a contested result, which I think is the bigger risk in the marketplace right now. So if you're wondering, what do you think can take down the stock market or make the stock market move lower? And let me delete this really quick. Okay. What can take the stock market lower from this point? It would be a contested result, in my opinion. Because we'll have uncertainty. The market doesn't like uncertainty, and that could really send the markets lower as a result. The natural response in currencies would be sell emerging market currencies like the U.S. dollar, Mexican peso. You sell, commodity currencies like the Aussie, the Kiwi, the Canadian, those types of things. I'm going to go into all those charts here in a second. But that's not obviously the only outcome. The outcome could be a Trump win or a blue wave, Biden win. And we're going to have to watch some states tonight. So one of the first states, and let's talk about this for a second. And I want you guys to write some of this down, especially if you're not in the United States. I think it's important for you guys to be writing some of this down. One of the first states that the polls will close for, and we will be looking for. Hold on, let me just go ahead and give you some numbers here. Just 1 second. Polls will be closing in Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio first. And then those close like 7:30 p.m. Eastern. 8 o'clock, we have Florida and Pennsylvania. Those are probably two of the more important ones. And then after that, we have like the polls close at 9 p.m. Eastern in Arizona, Texas, Michigan, Wisconsin. Also, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Let me grab a drink of my water. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. It's at like 9 o'clock. These are some of the key battleground states. So 9 o'clock is going to be Arizona, Michigan, Texas, Wisconsin. At 10 o'clock, the polls close in Iowa. And Nevada, actually. So those are some pretty key like battleground states. But the ones to watch are like Florida, in my opinion, because we might know by 9 o'clock Eastern, we might know who's going to win Florida. And if Biden wins Florida, it's going to be really, really tough for Trump to win. If Trump wins Florida, that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for Biden to win. So that's going to be pretty important because right now we're looking at, a blue wave potentially in based on the polls. Now, if the polls are correct, and here's the one thing that you guys have to think about too. I want you guys to think about this for a second. And we were talking about this in the chat room about the polls, and it's like, okay, well, the polls are wrong in 2016. Look, if they're super wrong this time, no one's ever. If you're a pollster, I mean, your business is done, finished, right? So what do you think pollsters did for this election? Because they're like, well, I ain't going to be wrong. What do you guys think they did? Who do you think they're going to give a natural edge to? Trump, right? Because it was such a big upset last time around that how's it going to hurt you if you just give Trump an extra 3 points here and there, right? And here's the thing, I still think that Trump has a really good shot. So, and the polls may be wrong, but there's a better chance they're not, because they probably give Trump an advantage, or have been in their models. So, a blue wave. A lot of people have been saying a blue wave is going to be bullish. I know I put this in the blog, but I'm almost thinking that we have to sell spikes into a blue wave. So if let's say there's a Biden win, and let's say Biden takes well, it looks like it's going to be a lot of Democrats in the Senate. Okay. And they might actually retain control. I think we, see a move up in the S&P towards 3,500, and then we have to be a seller. That's what I think. Okay. But I'm giving you guys ideas, and let me actually stop for a second and tell you guys this. I've got everything mapped out in my mind, what I want to do, but I'm going to let the market dictate what I'm going to do. And I think this is what you see here on the S&P is probably your roadmap, right? And I say that because I think that support is going to be really critical down here at 3,250. I think resistance around 3,500 is going to be really key. And I think we're mid-range right now, as I expected ahead of this election. And I do think that either side of this wedge can be tested. So I'm actually more interested in selling a spike into the resistance. The resistance. Now, why would we do that? Well, it could be for a couple reasons. We could get a blue wave, and Biden wins. We spike into resistance, and then we see that we've got a Democratic Senate and House, and then the market goes, oh, we bought the rumor, sold the news. Okay, and taxes are going to be raised a lot next year, and we should sell into it. So that probably happens. What else could push us higher here? Well, maybe a Trump win. If Trump wins, there's a lot of people that believe that if Trump wins, we're going to have a continuation of what we just had the last 4 years. Will we? Maybe. I'd be willing to sell into that too, around the 3,500 level, right? So the flip side is we have a contested result. Okay. If we have a contested result, we might dip down here, but I don't know. We may continue lower after that. I have a feeling that if let's say it looks like Biden's leading in Florida, and let's say it's almost game over. Texas flips blue, which it's in play. Some of the polls have Texas turning blue. So let's say Texas turns blue, Florida's blue, but barely. When I say barely, I'm talking like small margins, 52 to 48 or 51 to 49, something like that, right? Some small margins. And you see Texas blue, Florida blue, the market goes, ooh, you get this big cheer, and we see a big spike up. Then what's going to happen right after that. Trump he contests the results in Texas and in Florida, because that he can't win without Texas. He just can't. So I'm just saying that I'm using like this roadmap here in the S&P really for how I'm going to approach the market and the different scenarios. I'm going to let the market do the work for me. Obviously there's no edge right here. There is none. I was buying, if you were in the chat room, you guys know I was buying dollar Mexican peso, dollar Canadian, some dollar Norwegian krona down at these levels. Well, lower than where we're at now. And so I'm profitable. Stops have been moved. The USR Norwegian krona is down a smidge, but that's okay. I'm going to be, I moved stops already. I'm probably going to be taking profits here shortly, because there just isn't any edge when you're in the middle of this range. There just isn't. Also, watch ABC and Fox News Those have, from what I have heard, they have the best record of calling states and not being wrong. Okay. For those of you in the United States, for those of you outside the United States, if you're on social media, just be in our chat room, obviously, or be watching those handles for ABC or Fox. There's a Twitter handle for Fox. It's called Election Headquarters, I think, or Election HQ, something like that. But that's like kind of the Twitter handle to follow from Fox. Okay. And I know I have all of these, I personally have all of these ideas of what I think I'm going to do in, under this circumstance or that circumstance. But really, when it's happening, it all kind of gets thrown out, the baby with the bathwater. But let me tell you this. I'm going to give you a couple scenarios of risk on, risk off, and what I'm looking to play. Okay, so if we have risk on, which I think that's where, if we have risk on, like let's say it's a blue wave and I'm wrong, I'm wrong. The market goes boom, boom, and just starts attacking highs, breaks out. I think some of the best money is going to be buying the dollar Mexican peso, watching it go through here, and remember I'm long right now. I'm sorry, so buying Mexican peso. Shoot, that's not what I wanted to happen. That was a total mistake. Watching the dollar Mexican peso break through this support, and we'll start making a really big move lower, right? On a big breakout in equities, I think this would be huge. Dollar Canadian, think about this. We got this triangle building. Dollar Canadian breaks through, the 130 level. First of all, we start with 131, then we break through 130. We'll trade down a few hundred pips. That'll be a big move. And I want to be long the Aussie. I mean, because look, let's face it, the Aussie dollar, that's the Kiwi. The Aussie dollar had a false breakdown, and now we're breaking this wedge. So we're probably going to make a move for, 74, 76 cents. And it's been holding above 70 cents this whole time. I mean, that's where, risk on, the Aussie, the Canadian, the peso. I think the peso and the Canadian are some of the better currencies. My office likes them because of the North American, play as well. So, yeah, I mean, you play the Mexican peso and the Canadian long. Mexican peso is that lacks a lot of liquidity, and at night it's probably going to be even worse, and during the election. So just keep that in mind, when you're trading it, or if you're trading it. The other thing, let's talk about risk off. Like, let's say the S&P gets to these highs, like the 3,500 level. Right. And then reverses, breaks down. Right. And I'm using that as exaggerated. It's not going to happen today, I don't think. But, we go into a contested result, and we might actually close down below 3,200. It's quite possible. But what do you play? Well, for me, I'm playing the dollar Mexican peso long, because if it breaks 21.50, she's gone. That's gone. I'm buying the Euro Mexican peso because this thing's been hugging the 200-day moving average, and yeah, we get above this resistance right here at 25.20. We're going higher, right? I'm going to play the U.S. dollar Norwegian krona is my chart of the day yesterday. Above this 200-day moving average. This is all risk off, guys. Then I'm playing it on the long side. We should move back towards 10. Dollar Canadian. We have this wedge, right? Dollar Canadians respected this support. Let's say we get some risk off, and by the election time, we're trading at 132. Well, then everybody's going to get caught short down here, and then we're going to break out and move towards the 200-day moving average. Last but not least is the Euro Aussie. I think the Euro Aussie will be my, I mean, it's just gotten its butt handed to it the last few days, you know, and I think that a lot of people are trying to play this on the short side. Oh, man, go Canadian, go, 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 go. A lot of people have been playing this on the short side with all this resistance up here. What happens when you reverse that? You know, you get back above 165. I mean, you're going to be trading 170, 172 shortly thereafter. So those are just some, you know, well, it's my list of what I want to play on the long or short side as a currency trader. That's the stuff I'm looking at right now. Are my plans all set in stone? No, they're not, because it's going to be a very fluid environment, very long night. I'm going to be probably making a bed in my office, which is, it sucks. I just brought down I had a mattress downstairs from we hide it in a closet. We had it out front of the house so the kids could watch a horror movie outside during Halloween. And then I hauled it all the way upstairs yesterday, and thinking about it, I'm like, I need to sleep in my office. I might have to haul that thing back downstairs so I have a place to sleep. But, you know, I'm looking at a late night, guys. And, you know, I'm looking at, you know, just those like alarms are going to be, you know, what triggers to wake me up, you know, when I'm taking a nap or something. Because it could, I hope we have a clear winner, like just a landslide, whether it's Trump or whether it's Biden. I hope it's like a landslide by midnight Eastern. But, you know, if it's a you know, slight victory for if it's a slight victory for Biden, we have to imagine states might get contested, and we have to start waiting for those in-person votes, because the in-person votes will matter more for Trump, I believe. And you have to be careful. Oh, one other thing, you have to be careful with an early Biden lead. It should dwindle. If Biden shows a strong lead in the beginning, that's because of all the early votes. But the in-person voting should be more skewed towards Republican, you know, towards Trump. So that's something else you need to take into consideration. Early voting historically will favor Democrats. Okay. Jason says, Blake, does your wife ever complain about you spending too much time in your office trading? I asked because my wife used to complain all the time. Oh, she does. Like I'm actually watching a show with her just so we can have some like called Schitt's Creek. If you guys haven't seen it on Netflix, it's pretty funny. I just started watching it like this last week because she's complaining that I, you know, don't spend enough time with her. But she also she's been with me for 20 years, so she understands the life of a trader. But yeah, there's periods like right now where I'm just not giving her enough attention. So anyway. That does happen. Guys, it's going to be intense, and I want to thank you all for being part of the ForexAnalytix community, and I really thank you for all the support. I hope most of you can be in the chat rooms tonight. I will be tweeting, but not a whole lot, because I'm going to be more focused on what I'm doing to make money, try not to lose my ass, and to be with, you know, all of you guys in the chat room. So I just want to say thanks again for all the support, and I just wish you good luck. And if you're in the United States, just please be careful the next few days. It doesn't matter who wins, because if it's Trump that wins, there's going to be a lot of Democrats, or, you know, I say, you know, extreme on the other side that will be rioting in the streets. And I can say the exact same thing on a Biden win. You know, Biden win, there's going to be a lot of extreme Trumpers in the street raising hell. So just be really careful where you guys are at, wherever you're at in the United States. Just be careful. I plan on kind of hunkering down the next couple of days. I plan on not going anywhere, but I'm not really a place that I'm expecting too much violence, not where I'm at, but there are those of you that live in those hot spots. So just please be careful. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. And thank you so much again. Bye-bye.